ALD just closed the acquisition of competitor LeasePlan. The new company, ALD LeasePlan, will become a mobility giant. We are here at the headquarters of ALD LeasePlan in Paris to discuss what this deal means to you and to the industry. And so we meet with Tim Albertsen, the CEO of ALD LeasePlan. Tim, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I have to say it's been a bit of a long wait.
16 months between the signing of the memorandum and the closing of the acquisition. Is it a period of excitement or exhaustion?
Well, it's both actually. I think clearly, a lot of excitement about what is coming, and a lot of exhaustion because there's a lot of hard work you have to do. We have been using the time. It's 16 months is a bit more than we anticipated to start, but obviously we spent the time well by preparing. I think really well in terms of country integration of the head offices, and being ready for day one. So it's definitely a bit of both.
What can you tell us in terms of the next steps? What is on the agenda in the upcoming months?
So I would say actually the real work starts now. So that's but as I said, we have been planning really well. So we have 20 countries where there is an overlap. We have 2 head offices, 2 insurance companies, and for all these companies, obviously there is a very detailed integration plan that describes day 1, day 100, day 1 year, day 2 year. And I can tell you some of these documents is like 500 pages of detailed integration, outlining how we will serve our clients, how we do with our partners, how we will actually integrate on the IT platforms, and all the details you can think about. Of course, all the synergies that we anticipate country by country, stream by stream, function by function. Everybody knows pretty much what's going to happen the next 3 to 6 months. And then, of course, things are not necessarily always going according to plan. We have seen that while we've been waiting for the closing. But obviously, we'll be agile enough to correct as we go along. But we will be starting the integration plan. We anticipate to have done, I would say, probably 80% of the integration within the first 18 months after closing.
How long will the 2 brands live next to each other?
Until we have a new brand and a new name, which is, I guess, somewhere in October or at least in Q3 this year.
If we then look at your statement, the new company will become a giant in mobility in our industry. How do you define mobility?
Well, for ALD LeasePlan, I think what we will still be defining mobility around the cars or the vehicles. But as you have seen, we have already started doing multimodality and other services for our clients. But I think it's quite clear for the next 3, 4, 5 years, most of the way we look at mobility will be around vehicles, or at least some kinds of assets with wheels on that is somehow taking you from A to B.
Some people, perhaps also customers, fear that in terms of agility and customer drive, they might change something. What is your answer to that? How are you going to avoid that there are issues in terms of agility and customer satisfaction?
So I think what first of all we have said very clearly, and also in all the plans we have done, that our customers should of course not really feel any difference, at least in the next 6, 12, 18 months in terms of a negative. And obviously all the plans I just referred to is very detailed in that sense as well. I think both ALD and LeasePlan are 2 very successful companies, and we have been very successful in our field because we have been customer centric. I think it's very clear that in both organizations we have put our customers first. So agility, being able constantly to follow the demands and the needs in the market have been, let's say, part of the DNA. And when we put the 2 together, obviously we do not anticipate to change that. Obviously, we will be a very customer-centric, customer-focused organization. We want to follow our clients and the markets where they're going. As I said, multimodality and electrification are things where we are already well advanced, but we want to keep pushing that for sure.
How are your customers reacting to the acquisition and the upcoming months where you need to do the further integration of the two companies?
They're quite excited, first of all, about this, let's say, merger between ALD and LeasePlan. And secondly, they tell us very clearly that get the integration done as quick as possible and make sure that, of course, we are there, that we don't change a lot of things too fast, but obviously keep them in the loop and keep them up to date what's going on, and obviously I think on both sides again there's a very strong dialogue with our clients, and so I'm pretty sure that if we don't do a good job they will let us know.
What in your opinion will be the short and medium term quick wins for the customer?
So it's definitely a historical moment, I think, when you have actually number 1 and 2 coming together, at least in Europe. I mean, so I think what we have found out, when you look at paper, you would say ALD and LeasePlan are quite similar. I think what we have found out over the last 18 months that we are not that similar, and obviously we have had 2 different ways to market. On the ALD side, we have been working a lot with partnerships, where on the LeasePlan side, they have been more on the direct side. So actually, first of all, we have developed different tools, different platforms that is actually very complementary when we put things together. And I think also in terms of products and services, we have a lot of, let's say, not overlaps, but actually the opposite. So we are quite complementary in the way that we can go to market. So I think what our customers will see that, even throughout the integration, we'll be able to bring new products and services to part of the organization. Let's say we have a very strong flex capacity on the ALD side that we're going to bring into the side of LeasePlan. On the last mile delivery, for example, LeasePlan have been very strong in that area, which of course is a way for us to bring that to LeasePlan. So I think our customers will see that even in a period of integration, there will actually be new things on the table that we can offer and hopefully improve our services to them.
You already announced all the executives, the top executives, the executive committee, but also the managing directors in the different countries. Of course, people are interested, we as well, to know if there will be cutbacks in terms of personnel and how many.
Yeah. So first of all, what I can say about the appointments of all the new executives and the MDs of the countries have been an exciting process. It has been a very transparent process and a fair process. So, I mean, all the executives have been through an assessment, and obviously we have been able to choose, for the right profiles, for the right jobs. When we put ourselves together today, we are 15,700 people. We will not need 15,700 people going forward. Probably more in the region of 13,500. We have a normal attrition both on the ALD and LeasePlan side of 8 to 10%. So actually that will come completely natural. So we don't anticipate any social plans that have to be triggered. My best guess is actually that when we get to the end of the integration process, we'll probably start hiring people again.
ALD and LeasePlan together, 3.3 million vehicles. Greater economies of scale. In which fields will scale have the biggest impact, according to you?
So, I mean, scale is really important in this business. Always was, and it has an impact pretty much everywhere. I mean, think about it this way. I mean, clearly on procurement, we will obviously have, a bigger portfolio to buy into, and obviously there is some procurement synergies that is quite obvious. In terms of efficiency in the organization, you could anticipate that, as I said, we don't necessarily need 15,700 people to run a bigger company and with growth, but obviously you would anticipate that the efficiency would go up by 20-25%. When you think about our investment capacity, so first of all, we double the investment capacity we have, but now we are investing into one organization instead of two, so you actually get the double out of that. When you think about marketing cost per car, for example. Now you do it under one brand, basically through 3.3 million cars instead of 1.8 or 1.7. So, I mean, it goes through everywhere.
How much of the benefits that you foresee because of the synergies and the economies of scale will flow back to the customer?
Well, I think, this will be a win-win situation. So clearly, as we become more efficient, we can, we can obviously price a bit differently. I think, there's of course, we have announced 440 million euros of synergies overall when we are fully phased. And part of that, of course, will flow back to the customers.
In the period until that you will really become one with a new name, etc., will you still keep the differences in, let's say, price strategy that we see with the leasing companies today and also with ALD and LeasePlan?
I think that's where it's important for our customers, of course, to have one uniform way of working with us. So actually today, I guess we already work on that to unify our pricing towards our clients. So there will be a period of time where we obviously align across the board and across, let's say, the countries. But clearly the customers expect us to have a uniform pricing towards them.
How will you balance the investments in going for new countries, geographies?
So I think in terms of geographical coverage, I think we are pretty much where we want to be today. As with the development in APAC, I think we are putting the last bits and pieces in place for really having a global reach for all our customers. We don't see particular areas where our customers are asking for our services where we're not. But of course, if the opportunities comes up, we would be looking at that. So I think we will probably not invest a lot into that, except for what you already know from on the APAC region. I think on the new mobility services, obviously we need to be there. And you will potentially see that more investments like we have done in the past in Skipper, which is the ALD Move product, or the subscription model with Fleet Pool, are areas where you could see us invest and invest quite heavily.
Why will the new company ALD LeasePlan become successful in global mobility, as we see, of course, also other giants in perhaps other disciplines that are interested in investing in that mobility ecosystem?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's quite obvious, that we are two very successful groups, and there's a reason for that, and I think the reason for us being successful going forward is a bit the same. We have been entrepreneurial, we have been innovative, we have been following our customers, we have been customer-centric. That's what we're going to stay, let's say, going forward for sure. In our case, 2 + 2 becomes 5. And of course, having two very successful groups already means that playing on our playing field will be very strong. And I think we can take on any kind of, let's say, competition, whether it's tech companies or it's the manufacturers' captives. And obviously we'll be playing, as I said, on the fact that we are customer-centric. We'll stay entrepreneurial, we'll stay agile, and I think that's how we will be very successful going forward as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tim Albertsen. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
And all the best also with the further steps with the new company ALD LeasePlan. Stay tuned, as in a couple of days we will meet again for the interview with Berno Klein-Herenbrink.